And welcome to a special edition of the Access Craft webinar. We're live here from Access Live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm your host, Michael Bilello, and with me right now is the founder of Campesino Rum, Hatton Smith. Hatton Smith, thanks for joining us, man.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, and I think Hatton also, you were the brand battle champion last year, got to present this year's award winner. Do you have any hardware to prove that you won?
Boom.
There's the belt, folks.
The big bell right here.
So tell me about your experience at Access Live. What's it been like?
Well, I would say that the brand battle has really separated everything else. Being able to come in and be the brand battle champion, not even be the champion, but just being able to compete, it just gives you a stage that allows you to have credibility with the distributors here. Well, they remember your name. They see you on stage. They hear your pitch. And I always treated it like a meeting. It's very hard to get a pitch meeting to some of the bigger distributors in the United States. And with the brand battle, it gives you a level playing field to do that.
Yeah. You're at the Access Craft Pavilion, which is a benefit to all Access Craft members. You get to have your product on the floor. You get to be with some peers. It's a lot of fun. You get to interact with attendees. Tell us about what it's been like tasting and interacting with attendees.
It's been great. You know, it's great to share a space with other emerging brands that are doing well. And so you get, sort of some shared minds of the attendees that come through. They're able to taste your products, taste similar products that are non-competitors, but they kind of bucket you in a little bit of their own mind share that say, hey, we're gonna pay attention to these brands.
Yeah. Now you come back with the hardware, so everyone knows that you're
Yes.
serious about business.
Super serious.
What's it like coming back after two conventions essentially,
Yep.
and a lot of time under your belt with tastings to come back? How is your approach different this year as opposed to last year?
I think the big difference this year, well, first of all, the belt, best business card you can have.
Yeah.
People come up to me and they're like, "Oh, you're the belt guy,"
Right.
And so I think having that under our belt is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And this year, I would say that we are still able to ride that success. And like I said earlier, like once you kind of have that credibility where you get sort of checked off by the top, then it opens all the doors you really need.
So you got the double whammy. You win the belt, then you also get into the Access Craft program.
Yep.
What type of doors have been open for you?
From winning brand battle, from being able to be with the Access Craft group, it's helped us get into new markets with Breakthrough, but it's also allowed us to be able to ask questions to the wholesalers that we would never have the opportunity to ask. And it gives us the ability to do it in a way that it's almost like talking to your friend, because they're not going to treat you like, a perspective. It's, hey, I'm having a problem. This is just what it is. And then you get not only your distributor, but you get all of them who are able to offer genuine advice that is extremely helpful. And also it's not any bias. It's like talking to a friend.
Yeah. And have you exceeded your goals in terms of where you are in your business timeline?
I think right now, we'd always like to be farther along. And with this business, and also with probably most startup businesses, you always want to be farther along. But I think, it's to a point where we're at a comfortable size that we want to go deeper within our markets to build up our volume to really kind of take it to the next level.
Sure. So what's next from Campesino? What can we expect?
I think next we will eventually launch a new product, probably like an older rum, ultra aged rum, which I'm super excited about.
Nice.
And then from then, really, it's to continue our growth. We're pretty regional right now in the Deep South, and so we'd like to expand farther, like up the East Coast, in places like Louisiana, Texas, maybe even markets like Chicago or something like that.
Very cool.
And so it's really to grow geographically and introduce new products.
Nice. Take me through a tasting.
All right. So we've got our Campesino Silver Rum, barrel-aged rum from Trinidad and Nicaragua. It's actually barrel-aged for a minimum of 2 years, maximum of about 5. After it's barrel-aged, we charcoal filter it. It's really designed to be more of like a cocktailing style rum, more of like a Spanish dry style. But it's very clean, no additives whatsoever, which really separates our rum apart. A lot of rums out there have a lot of sweetener. It's going to have no sweetener whatsoever. It's very balanced, very soft on the palate, very clean. Join you here, Michael.
As I was. Cheers, buddy. Cheers to all your success.
Thank you.
So good.
Soft, clean, balanced. Makes great cocktails, but also, you know, I think it's kind of an underrated as like a clear spirit goes.
Yeah.
Something you can drink on the rocks, drink straight.
Yeah.
And then next,
I think that's the big thing with clear spirits. A lot of times you don't think you can drink them straight,
right?
But this is extremely smooth.
Right. Yeah, it's delicate. It's actually one that I have gravitated more. You know, I drink a lot of Campesino, right?
Yeah.
And I've originally started primarily drinking the aged rum neat, but as the years have gone by, I've gravitated more towards drinking our soap rum.
Yeah, and I love your topper.
Yeah, right. The greatest thing about them is you can open it one-handed, right? So how many liquor bottles do you know you can open one-handed?
It's kind of important, especially when you're doing something else with your other hand.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Chugging it along the way
Responsibly.
So this will be our aged rum. Comes from Panama, Barbados, and the Dominican Republic. Barrel aged for 6 to 8 years in ex-bourbon barrels. Salud. More of like your bourbon drinker's rum. With a lot of those woody elements, a lot of that, you know, like almost like caramel-like, but it's not overly sweet. A lot of dark rums out there, a lot of color, a lot of sweetener,
A lot of sugar, right?
a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
And ours has 0 additives. No sugar, no color, no flavoring.
Right.
So what we found is those people who are Scotch drinkers, rye whiskey drinkers, Irish whiskey drinkers, even like Reposado tequila drinkers, they really end up gravitating towards this rum. And it's one that you can continually come back to.
Yeah.
It's not like a sugar bomb that's going to be like, oh, this is great for like, you know, maybe like a dessert drink. This can be like your everyday drink.
Yeah, for sure. And this is a lifestyle brand. Tell me about your lifestyle.
My lifestyle now or before?
Well, I think in terms of like what you like to do, the extreme sports.
Yeah, I like to get after it. So started the company. First was basically chasing jaguars in the jungle. Then we were bootlegging rum illegally in the jungle. Moved back to the States, started the company, and just really kind of needed to scratch that itch. And so during COVID, started skydiving and quickly got into wingsuiting, and then quickly got into base jumping, and then naturally got into wingsuit base jumping.
That is a ridiculous advancement. Like in what, 5 years, 4 years?
Yeah, I guess
4.5.
really like 3.5.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a trip.
Well, make sure you're safe on all your jumps. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining us today.
Yeah.
I appreciate the
Cheers.
tasting. You've done great things. You're going to have great things ahead, and obviously we appreciate you at Access Craft.
I appreciate y'all, man. I'm super
man.
happy to
And
be
thanks
here.
for coming for Access Live.
Thank you.
Come to Access Live. Check us out.
Cheers.
We're here with Maura Smith, founder of Inspiro Tequila. Maura, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, nice to be here.
So this is your second Access Live.
yeah.
How does this year compare to last?
So last year for me was like a welcome to the industry, right? I came in as an industry outsider, and all of a sudden I was exposed to like the entire world, spirits world. So this year I kind of feel like I'm coming back as like a little bit more of an industry veteran, you know,
Yeah.
seeing people, reconnecting with people that I met and now know.
Yeah. And as a member of Access Craft, this is also coming to your first year of completion. I think you have made tremendous progress, not by accident. You are an absolute workhorse. In terms of your social media presence, your traditional media engagement, you've got to be reaping the rewards and benefits. Tell us about that.
Yes. And, you know, you probably see because my LinkedIn presence, which is probably what I'm better at than maybe traditional social media. But if you think about that, that's really like B2B facing. And that's what I think of this as, you know, connecting with other founders, connecting with people in the industry. So that gave me a little bit of a platform. First coming last year, competing in brand battle where I got to meet people, and then being part of the Access Craft Advisory Council. Now I have even more people that I'm
Right.
connected to within the industry.
Right.
So
Right. Very cool. And you come prepared. So if we're going to do anything right now, let's talk about how you come to a trade show prepared.
which is a little bit of a joke because last year I tried to come prepared, but none of my boxes arrived.
Happens.
So this year I actually packed everything in my suitcase. Yes, you know, we just thought about like what people really want to take away from meeting us. And so we wanted to make sure we had some like quick brochures, pamphlets, some sales sheets, so that if people come to the booth, they have some information about the brand. So, you know, we didn't pack like a ton, but we just wanted to make sure they had something that they could leave and know about the brand, especially having like QR codes on everything, just so you can learn
Really smart.
more. So, I mean, the most important part is that they see the product, try the product, but it's nice that there's like a takeaway.
Yeah, and the brand's represented well, not only in the physical space, but in your print material and your digital material. I mean, you've got it all ticked and tied. That's very impressive. So tell us
Thank you.
about your journey as a woman-owned brand. What does that mean to you, and what should it inspire others to do?
Yes, you know, well, there are not that many women, as you can tell, and it's going to be more and more on the floor here, which is like amazing to
Yeah.
see. So, so for me, coming to something like this is one, getting to connect with some of those other founders. I feel like there's a small group of us that have like a great kind of community. But I think it's showing representation. Like, listen, everyone's acknowledging now and understanding, everybody here, that consumers are diverse and, you know, spending power and who has the spending power. So making sure that there's representation by brands that represent those consumers. You're just seeing more and more of that. And that's kind of like where we come in and kind of our stance, you know, being distilled, owned, and led by all women, being a certified B Corp, because we give back to other female founders. It's just, we want to represent this consumer that we think is, you know, somewhat overlooked traditionally, and to be able to authentically address this female consumer. We think we're the best people to like come to her.
And it makes it more authentic. It's not just a marketing gimmick. I mean, you're really walking the walk.
Right. Like everything we do, from who we collaborate and partner with. I mean, you know, because you see the people that I try and elevate in the industry and outside the industry. So our partnerships, our collaborations, vendors we work with, suppliers we work with, like we really are very intentional about it. And I think a lot of consumers also are getting to be more intentional about trying to, you know, support brands. We're part of craft brands. So we're going to be small emerging brands. So finding small emerging diverse brands, you kind of seek them out, and people have to be intentional about supporting them.
Take us through a taste.
Yes. So we have additive-free, clean additive-free tequila. So that was kind of the most important part, is actually the, you know, I know we have great marketing materials, but actually the juice, the product.
Sure.
So our Blanco tequila, a really easy to drink Blanco tequila. We wanted to create some sweeter tasting notes, but without using any additives. So we actually rest it in barrels for a really short time, and that's how we got some of those, developed the sweeter notes. We have a legendary master distiller, Ana Maria Romero, Mexico, who is, I mean, amazing. So you'll smell a little bit of the sweetness. She actually developed the aroma wheel in tequila and identified 600 aromas and where they come from in the production process. We knew aroma was going to be really important.
The nose on this is incredible.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. I mean, it goes down kind of dangerously easy.
Yes.
So
good.
Thank you. And then we have our Rosa Reposado. So it's actually, as of now, at least, the first tequila aged in rosé wine barrels. So this is an example of coming in as an industry outsider and having no idea that when I had this, I'm going to, you know, age tequila in rosé wine barrels. I didn't know that rosé wine is a very young wine that is traditionally doesn't touch a barrel.
Okay.
Only goes in steel.
Okay.
So I had to like scour the earth to find rosé wine barrels, to find rosé wine that was actually aged. We found them in the south of France. So it's a really unusual expression.
Okay.
And because we're additive free, we have this like really pretty rose gold color, but it's all natural. We don't actually color it at all. So. And
I love the contouring of the bottle. That was very intentional. Yeah.
Yes. I wanted a bottle that I could hold and pour.
Yeah.
So I found these like big stout bottles, hard to manipulate. And what we found is that bartenders actually also really love it because the pour spout fits perfectly in it. It's so easy to manipulate.
Right.
So I did it just for myself.
Yeah.
But it works really well. And I just made a bottle that I wanted to be on my back bar.
Nicely done.
On my home bar. So it stood out.
So what am I going to smell in here?
You're going to get some berry. You're definitely going to taste some of that. So a little less maybe woodiness than a traditional reposado. But maybe a little more of the wine. You'll taste a little bit of the wine on the finish. It's also kind of a good entry point. So it's not a very heavy aged tequila. It's really light. So for a lot of consumers who maybe aren't used to drinking aged expressions, this is a really kind of light way to go in an introduction. And it's pretty unique.
Wow, that's really nice.
Thank you.
And I am ashamed to say this is the first time I am trying this expression.
Seriously?
Yes,
oh my gosh.
Wow. Really
Thank
good.
you.
And you're right, on the back end, I totally get
some of the wine.
Just enough, not too much.
Yeah, and it's just a very light, like for a reposado, it's not like super in your face or like alcohol forward. It's a really light, easy to drink.
I really like this.
Yeah, this on like a one big cube or neat is just perfect. We don't even usually mix it with anything because it's just so easy to drink on its own.
So good.
Thank you.
So nicely done.
I'm going to change out your glass of wine tonight.
Be my guest. Be my guest. So, as part of an Access Craft, the craft program, what are you getting out of that program as a member?
So, first, I think a lot of people come to things like this or join that because they're like, oh, I want to get in front of like, you know, which is great, and wholesalers in the industry. I look at it a little bit of a different perspective too. Like, I learn a ton from other founders. So for me to be connected to other Access Craft brands is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that I'm sharing a bar.
Right.
But I said we have the most fun bar here. You
It's
know,
definitely the most fun
exactly. You learn so much. So if you go in thinking that you can learn from each other, and I find it like very collaborative as opposed to competitive. And I really think that's where I get my best information. I mean, someone will say, oh, I have this photographer we use. They were great. Or here's my website designer. I mean, just sharing resources, information. So if you look at it like a little more holistically, that you get an introduction and you're getting to learn from people who have a ton of industry expertise, which is something I go in. I just want to learn as much as possible. I like soak it up like a sponge.
Right.
But if you also look at it as like connections, and these are people I want to partner with, I want to work with.
Right.
I want, you know, I want us all to be successful. And I think if you go in that way of like looking at the camaraderie, that is really above, you know, beyond everything.
Yeah, I think you embody that culture. One of the things I love is one of our first meetings, one of our craft advisory council members, Cheryl Murphy-Dursey of LibDib, she said, drop your ego. And the thing I love about this group, it's all fun, but it's about business, but there's no ego.
Totally. Like after our first meeting, someone reached out to me. They're like, I heard you say whatever I had mentioned, something about a social media or whatever. And they're like, can I reach out and talk? And like I answered everybody's emails and we connected afterwards. And then Hatton reached out and he wanted information on something. I'm like, great, let's talk. So it really is, you know, it is like that. It's like very collaborative with among everybody. And I mean, I've been going to dinner with founders like every night I'm here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. And I'm glad you're getting a lot of that. So tell us about your growth goals. Where do you want to be?
Yes. Well, we just opened our 6th state. So actually, I feel like Brand Battle was the total like impetus of that. I mean, you know, being on stage last year, getting that kind of like recognition in the industry, being kind of a very unknown in the industry.
Right.
And we're really fortunate that we did that. But now we have to build those states. So I know sometimes there's the push to be like, how many are you in? How many are in? And go wide or go bigger. But we're like really hyper focused on like, how can we do very well where we are right now?
That's right.
That's a lot. That's a lot for small teams. That's a lot for small brands. So what can we do to like really build in those states and do it really thoughtfully? We know who our consumer is. We're honed in and like laser focused on like focusing on who the consumer is, what the right accounts are, and how we can build it really well and support every market we go into. So we're pretty intentional and thoughtful about that, and not. So even here, that's why I said like I'm not looking to like, oh, can I connect to everybody and be everywhere? Like that is not. That's not our plan.
And for those watching, that's a chapter in the Access Craft playbook. Own your market. Don't get out over your skis. Grow smart. And most importantly, be intentional. And work as hard as Mara does. Thank you for being with us.
I don't know
really
if I'll recommend that.
I recommend that. I think it's necessary.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm now with Joe Colucci and with Munyon's Pawpaw, another Access Craft brand member here at Access Live at the Access Craft Pavilion. Joe, thanks for joining us, man.
Of course, happy to be here.
So this is your second Access Live.
Correct.
Tell us how this year compares to last.
Well, you know, a little bit further travel for us, being based in Florida, but really enjoying it thoroughly. Getting a lot of the networking this year. So we were part of this booth, obviously, and have our bottles here, which is fantastic because anybody that we're networking with and is interested in trying the product, we're having a great time bringing them over here. And also the opportunity to meet some of these titans of the industry, really, all the way to people that we're talking to on a regular basis to make new connections. It's been really good.
Yeah, excellent. So what have you learned at this convention that you're thinking about incorporating and bringing forward into your business?
A couple things. One of the hot topics seems to be this no and low alcohol, which is really good for us because we're 20% and we kind of play in that realm. So really thinking of ways that we could bring that forward to the customer and highlight that with our distributor network. So we give them another tool in their toolbox with our brand. So that's big. And then just seeing the trends in the industry, the SIP source data and things that we capitalize on with the trends and where we fit into that realm.
Yeah, no doubt, an investment of time and money, but you're getting a return on investment in terms of attending Access Live, becoming a member of Access Craft.
Yeah, it's been well worth it. A couple things that are great is not only has it really developed a great network for us, and the people that we're meeting and seeing are just good in general for us to help build our business, but also it really starts to stir the competitive spirit. So there's a lot of people out there doing some really good things, and it's trying to keep us on top of our game.
Yeah, I mean, you guys definitely know how to compete. You got a great product. Let's learn more about it.
Yeah, so Munyon's Pawpaw. It's interesting. We learned about a 120-year-old brand called Munyon's Pawpaw.
I love this.
Originally, it was a cure-all liqueur. So Munion's is the name of the gentleman who started the brand back in the early 1900s. Pawpaw is an old Florida word for papaya. So it was a fermented papaya liqueur, but he was selling it as a cure for whatever ailed you. And in our research and all the historical data that we found out about it, we actually learned that cure in his bottle was actually THC.
Wow.
No THC in ours, but we thought the story was really cool. We brought it back as an aperitif. So it's 14 all-natural ingredients, something that's pretty unique that we do. And harkening back to what we were talking about earlier, a trend in the industry is transparency. So one of the things that's great is if you open the back label, all 14 ingredients that are blended in the bottle are actually listed back there. So it really goes to that consumers are being a little bit more conscious about what they're putting into their body, so we try and tap into that.
So you're not just focusing on the liquid in the bottle, but you're also focusing on transparency and how the consumer engages with the package. So, I mean, you put a lot of thought into this. And are you getting good feedback from consumers in terms of what the story tells?
Yeah, actually, one of the old tricks that we keep hearing about in the industry is, on the shelf, your bottle tells your story first and foremost. So we're not there to hand sell everyone, although it feels like sometimes we're trying to be. But the bottle's got to really, and the package have really got to tell the story. So when we let people know the transparency, we show them this little tidbit, they're really engaged. I feel like it is really resonating with the consumer these days because, again, they want to have that additional aspect, and they're becoming more sophisticated about what they're consuming.
Yeah. One of the things I love about aperitifs is they're quite different, but they're also complementary to, other spirits. But yours is very unique. It's not like the European aperitifs, right? Tell us about this American-style aperitif.
So it comes from that European tradition, and one of the things that we're doing is we're not cutting any corners. Like, we're doing it the old school way, really. So in the European tradition, they were making the tinctures. It's not a compounded, not flavors, not chemicals. It's really the ingredients that we're putting in the bottle. So that part we're taking with us. Where we bring the American style to it is a Florida product, so we wanted it to kind of speak to Florida, stand on its own, hold up in the rest of the country and eventually the world. But we really have orange forward. So on the front end, very citrusy notes, orange forward. And on the back end, that's where you get those lingering bitter notes that are traditional and indicative of an aperitif style.
Nice. Take us through a tasting.
Yeah, so what I would normally show you here is we go through, and again, we don't have those artificial flavors and colors, so what you're going to get is not that bright red or orange that really pops. You're going to get a little bit faded. Interestingly enough, Michael, it starts out bright pink because hibiscus is one of our ingredients. After about 2 weeks, it fades to this color, so you get a real natural color. And again, I said on the front end, you kind of get that, you feel like you're walking through a Florida orange grove when it's just blossoming in the spring, real citrusy, floral, things like that. On the back end, it kind of hits you where your palate really tastes the bitter notes, and so that'll linger. And every great cocktail has a balance of sweet, citrusy, and acidity, and some of those bitter notes. So we kind of have all that in here. So it really does become a versatile spirit that not only stands on its own, but it mixes great in cocktails.
Very cool. Cheers, Sean.
Cheers. Yeah, I can't let you drink alone.
Yeah, what are you doing here?
No, I don't know what I was doing.
Cheers, man.
Get those lingering bitter notes.
I'm back on the campus of Florida State University for sure.
That's fantastic. Kind of
So
light
good.
and
So good.
Thank you. We're going for light and refreshing, approachable. Not too much of a bitter kick because the American palate. That's another way that we kind of distinguish ourselves. The American palate isn't quite as ready for that real punchy in the face bitter.
Right.
So this has that sort of approachable, leans into it sort of at the end. So we're trying to find a nice balance.
Yeah. And just as you described it, get the citrus, the floral notes. Maybe it's been a long day, but I taste the hibiscus.
Nice.
It's really good.
Yeah, and because it's not flavors and like artificial flavors, it really is a complex beverage where each person almost they get different hints. Some people tell me, "Hey, I really get the grapefruit." Some people say, "Hey, I really get the anise," and it's complex. So you almost get a layered effect where it's not just blended to one note. You kind of get each of those over, as it goes over your palate, distinguishes themselves.
This has to appeal to a broad variety and range of mixologists. What's the feedback you're getting from mixologists on this?
Yeah, so thankfully for us, the mixology crowd, their palate is already kind of attuned to it. That cohort is who we're really targeting. They're the early adapters. But what happens with them is they taste it, they smell it, and the wheels get turning. They really start to think, oh, I could do X, Y, Z with this. Each of them put their own little twist on it. Somebody might have an affinity for tiki cocktails. They see applications right away. Some may have an affinity for some more of the classic cocktails going back to like the Negroni style, things of that nature that have a little bit more of a bitter note. So they'll figure out ways to enhance that piece of it. I love to see it because I see the creative juices get flowing as soon as they start drinking it. They wind up going off to the races, and a lot of times they'll teach me different ways to drink it.
Yeah. You and your partner, Paul Massey, make a great team. I know you guys are working really hard. Tell us about sort of your growth goals and where you want to be.
So, what we're trying to do, again, capitalize on those early adapters, and another thing that we've really sort of resonated with me, and we kind of knew it, but to hear it from some of the industry icons multiple times here, is get the bartenders on your side. So we want to go to those lighthouse accounts with the great mixologists, people who are sort of leaning into the brand and do like it, and get them on board, then get a little bit more of a strategy where we have different cocktails that we're going to go more for the masses that appeal to that more people who we can educate how to bring into this category, and get our distribution in lighthouse accounts on premise, but not forget about the retailers, because the retailers do help build brands. Even though a lot of people say, hey, on premise exclusively builds brands, you get the right retailers that are hand selling it, that are telling the story. That's a good way for us to do it too. So just make sure that we're getting liquid to lips, expanding we're in Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, Kentucky right now, soon to be Indiana and Ohio.
Wow.
We have one other team member that's with us. So those three people, we kind of got our hands full. We're going to really try and get after those markets intensely. And then from there, learn what works, what doesn't work as we hone our skills, and then eventually maybe go up to the Northeast.
You've only been in the Access Craft program for 1 year, and from my perspective, the amount of progress you made is remarkable. What have you gotten out of the Access Craft program?
I think the Access Craft program, first of all, it keeps us sort of grounded and tethered to a group of people that let us keep our eye on the prize. So every time those invites go out, then we get on these calls, and you'll see it, Michael. Hey guys, sorry, I'm in my truck right now, so I'm going to pull over and
Where
park.
you should be.
Exactly, on the roads, hitting the street. So that I love being grounded, touching base with not only the distributor folks who are giving sage advice, but the other people who are doing what we're doing. Like I said, in addition to getting really great advice and bouncing ideas off of folks, because I've kind of been in the industry for a while, but this is a different aspect.
Right.
So to find out what other people are doing, what's working. The other thing is, I don't care how long you've been in the industry. We're in a really dynamic industry, so you have to learn new things. You have to adjust with trends. You have to stay on top of it, because if you're not changing, you're going to die on the vine, to pun completely intended. But we want to stay grounded and make sure we're connecting with those folks. And like I said, I think one of the most powerful things is being involved with a passionate group of people. You were talking to Hatton, you're going to be talking to Mara. I mean, those guys, I want to see them succeed. But I also know that if I'm not getting out there, Paul's not getting out there, we're not going to succeed, because we've got to be working at least as hard as they are.
Right.
And they're out there busting their tails.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, man. I always appreciate you. We'll have you back.
My pleasure.
Yeah, man.
Love it.
All right,
Thanks
cool.
a lot, Michael.
See you. With us now is Bob Gunter, the founder of Koloa Rum, all the way from Kauai. And this is your third Access Live?
Third or fourth.
Third or fourth, okay.
Lose count.
Yeah, I feel like I see you all the time. You're one of the hardest working and probably most traveled Access Craft brands we have.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's always a wonderful event for us.
Yeah. So tell us about this year and how this year's show compares to last.
Well, different location.
Yeah, sure.
For sure. But this seems a little better attended, I guess. A lot of old contacts and people that we've met before, but a lot of people that we haven't. And so it's all about exposure for us, and getting our brand out there and getting that visibility and awareness, and the event never fails.
Yeah, over 2,500 attendees this year, so there's definitely a little bit more a representation here on all three tiers.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of suppliers here like yourself, wholesalers as well as retailers. What type of potential and opportunity does this type of show open up for a brand like yours?
Well, we've been in business now for 15 years, so we're not a startup, but we're still looking to expand our points of distribution and just build more brand awareness and credibility. And us participating with WSWA in this type of event gives us just that, gives us the exposure, helps us introduce our brand to people who don't know us, and that inevitably leads to expanded distribution. And from last year to this year, we've now moved into 8 different new markets for us, 3 of which would have never happened had it not been for WSWA last year at the event.
That's really exciting stuff. Now we're in Las Vegas, and in 2 weeks, I hear there's a big football game taking place. Tell us about your involvement with the Raiders and what type of opportunities you have over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we're super excited and pleased with the partnership that we have with the Las Vegas Raiders. We're now into the midst of a multi-year agreement with them, which gives us 3 bars in Allegiant Stadium.
That's awesome.
And of course, we're proud of that, and particularly our signature bar, which is in Twitch Lounge in the VIP section of the stadium. But the relationship actually extends beyond that, because our bars are open for business year-round, even outside of football season. So when they have concerts and rodeos and other events, we've got that visibility, and people are able to to try our products. So it was definitely an investment for us, but it's paying off.
My man. So you have quite the portfolio here.
Yeah.
Tell us about the portfolio.
Yes. Well, it's broad, but I like to think that we have a rum for any day of the week, for any cocktail that you can come up with. We have our core rums, which are white, gold, dark, spice, coconut, cacao, chocolate, coffee, and our 5-year single barrel expression. We have a line of ready-to-drink cocktails in bottles, pineapple passion, which is served on board Hawaiian Airlines. We have our rum punch, and then our Hawaiian Mai Tai, which is 37 proof, so it's a standard bar cocktail.
Wow.
And then we have our line of relatively new, introduced last year, sparkling can cocktails. All natural, 12 ounce, and they're lower on the alcohol. They're 9 proof, 4.5%. So very light, very refreshing, great for the beach, great for boating and camping, etc. So again, we have something that will appeal to most any palate and any consumer.
And if you look at whether it's the bottled cocktails, the RTDs, or your core spirit portfolio, the branding is all consistent. The colors are vibrant. It really tells a Hawaiian story.
Yes. And from the beginning, it was never about any one of us. It was about the place. It was about Hawaii and all that represents. And so we want to stay true to that, which is our roots, that's our origin. And I think that's our point of differentiation.
Yeah. You are amongst quite a great group of peers in the Access Craft Council.
Yeah.
Tell us about your council members.
Oh, yeah, just a great group of people. It's a big industry, obviously global industry, but when it gets down to it, it's fraternal. And, in 2009, when we began bottling, I think we were the 50th licensed distillery in the U.S. Now there are 4,000, and it's the craft distillers, the smaller ones that are coming into the market and finding their way. Yes, taking market share from some of the legacy brands, if you will, but they're also creating just amazing products, and so like we do our thing and they're doing theirs, and I think overall, we're contributing in a measurable way to the industry.
Yeah, no doubt. So take me through a tasting. I mean, I'd love to taste all of them, but I have to be responsible, so I'll pick 2.
Well, I'll tell you, they're all good. Everything starts with the white rum. That's the base for all of these flavors that we do, including our aged rum. But I'm particularly proud of the cacao chocolate rum
Okay.
and our coffee rum because they're made with locally grown cacao
Okay.
and locally grown Hawaiian coffee.
Two of my favorite things, chocolate and coffee.
Can't go wrong. This is the cacao, and it's 80 proof, so it's a stand-up rum.
Wow.
And again, made with locally grown Kauai cacao. Interestingly, the farmer brings us the cacao beans. We macerate in our white rum for 10 to 12 days, and then take out the beans, give them back to the farmer, and then he makes a rum-flavored chocolate bar. We're left with pure chocolate rum. So it's chocolate, white rum with a little bit of cane sugar.
The nose on this is absolutely incredible.
Yes. So it's not chemicals, it's not exotic flavors, it's pure chocolate with rum.
Bob, I mean, this is amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. And
So good.
And we're particularly proud of the partnership or collaboration with the local agricultural entity, the farmers in this instance. So we're helping them, they're helping us, and we're both producing value-added products.
Yeah.
You know, in doing that.
And this product makes a very long trip to the United States, but it's well worth it.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it travels well.
Yes.
Mm.
Following that, and complementary to that, is the Koloa coffee rum.
Okay.
Again, made with locally grown Kauai coffee. Kauai Coffee Company on Kauai, largest coffee plantation
I just woke up.
in the U.S. And it's an Arabica bean. They do a dark roast and grind, and we do a cold brew in the distillery, and then blend that coffee with our white rum, and again a little bit of cane sugar to round it out. So it's coffee rum with a little bit of sugar.
I mean, the nose is incredible, and the taste is right in line with it.
Yeah.
I mean, you taste the fresh coffee, the beans,
Yes.
but you know it's still a rum.
Yes. Makes just a killer espresso martini.
Yeah.
You know.
It's so good.
Thank you.
So obviously a very genuine brand story, and you also attend a show like this very well. Tell us about the importance of coming prepared and having all your marketing collateral out. What does it help you do when you're engaging with visitors?
Well, again, it's all about introducing people who maybe have not heard of us before, haven't tried our products. It's important for us for people to see and recognize the breadth of our portfolio, and also get a sense of the quality of the product. You know, branding and packaging and all of that is one thing, but if the quality, the taste is not there, then you really don't have much to stand on. And so, again, it's all about continually building brand awareness and credibility over time.
Amazing. Well, you know we appreciate you in the Access Craft Council. You've done great things. I think you're going to continue to do great things, and we appreciate you. And we hope to see you at Access Live again next year.
Thank you. We're very proud for the association. Thank
Awesome.
you, Michael.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.